California. The agency has previously noted that a site inspection is required prior to approval of our BLA. The FDA has also communicated that their ability to conduct inspections is limited based on their COVID-19 related guidance and travel restrictions currently in place. While there's still a chance that an inspection could be conducted prior to November 25th, we wanted to acknowledge the possibility that our drug might not be approved on our PDUFA date. At this time, we do not have any additional information and do not plan to elaborate further. We continue to work proactively with the agency to secure an inspection at the earliest possible time. With the strategic transactions we made earlier this year of the RHA Collection and HintMD platform, Revance is more diversified than ever before and less dependent on any single revenue stream. Revance's cash guidance remains unchanged as we continue to project that the company is funded into 2023 due to the puts and takes associated with the new product launch. Should we have a delay to our FDA approval, we believe the company is in an excellent position, both commercially and financially, to weather any change to the timing of a potential approval. We also remain confident in the overall strength of our BLA submission and will continue to work proactively with the agency to complete the necessary site inspection. Now, let me turn to our therapeutics franchise. We were thrilled to announce in October the positive results from our ASPEN-1 phase 3 pivotal trial of daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection in the treatment of cervical dystonia, which we believe will underpin the next stage of growth for Revance beyond aesthetics. The ASPEN-1 trial met its primary endpoint and secondary endpoints across both doses with high statistical significance, and the study revealed a potentially differentiated safety profile with a long duration of effect of 24 weeks. Importantly, we were able to deliver these results with a low dose of active neurotoxin with low adverse event rates, particularly as it relates to dysphagia and muscle weakness. We believe that being able to potentially reduce the number of treatments along with corresponding practice visits by up to 50% a year is meaningful to patients, caregivers, physicians, and payers alike. Based on these results, daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection could represent a material advancement in cervical dystonia care and result in significant pharmacoeconomic savings. The ASPEN-OLS, or open label safety study for cervical dystonia, continues with results expected in 2021. Accordingly, we are aiming for regulatory approval for our first therapeutic indication in 2023. Let me remind you that cervical dystonia is a $340 million market, sizable in and of itself, but only a portion of the $2.3 billion global therapeutic market for botulinum toxins. In addition to cervical dystonia, we are pursuing another muscle movement disorder, upper limb spasticity, and plan to report results from the JUNIPER phase 2 trial in the first quarter of 2021. Which brings me to today's plantar fasciitis results. In conjunction with our third quarter earnings release this afternoon, we announced results from our phase 2 trial of daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection for the management of plantar fasciitis, a painful affliction of the foot. In the trial, both the 80 unit and 120 unit doses resulted in measurable pain relief that was numerically greater than placebo on the numeric pain rating scale. However, neither dose met the primary efficacy endpoint of statistically significant improvement in the NPRS for foot pain at week 8 when compared to placebo. DaxibotulinumtoxinA for injection appeared generally safe and well tolerated when injected into the foot. No other neuromodulator has been approved for the treatment of plantar fasciitis, so we were attempting to stake out a first mover advantage in a new therapeutic category with underlying physiology that is different from existing muscle movement or pain disorders. While we plan to further analyze the data, our primary focus will be on indications where the market and path to approval are well established for neuromodulators. Now with the strong phase 3 cervical dystonia data, we can advance our initial commercial planning in therapeutics, and we're looking forward to reporting the JUNIPER phase 2 clinical results for upper limb spasticity in the first quarter of 2021. Combined, these results will help us formulate our clinical strategy in therapeutics going forward. With that, I'll now turn the call over to Toby Schilke to cover the financials.
Thank you, Mark. Starting with our cash equivalents, and short-term investments balance, we ended the third quarter with $436 million, which we believe is sufficient to fund our planned operations into 2023. Revenue for the third quarter of 2020 consisted of $3.8 million, which primarily represents initial orders of RHA Collection of dermal fillers. You will note that our revenues are now broken out into three categories on the income statement. During the quarter, product revenues from the RHA Collection was $2.8 million. Collaboration revenues from our Mylan partnership was $0.8 million, and services revenue from the HintMD platform was $0.2 million. For the third quarter, our operating expense was $81 million. Excluding the cost of revenue, depreciation, and amortization, stock-based compensation, and the RHA-related in-process R&D, our operating expense was $65.4 million. The earnings release we issued today outlines our financial results in full, so I'll not go through the details on this call. In terms of our 2020 outlook, GAAP operating expense, including the effects from the HintMD acquisition, is expected to be $285 to $295 million. Non-GAAP operating expense remains in the range of $220 to $230 million. This excludes the cost of revenue, depreciation, amortization, stock-based compensation, and the RHA-related in-process R&D. We continue to expect our 2020 non-GAAP, non-HintMD research and development expense to be $95 to $100 million. In terms of future revenue, our policy remains to refrain from providing sales guidance until we can determine the launch trajectory of the RHA Collection and HintMD platform. Finally, Revance's shares outstanding as of October 30, 2020, were approximately 66.5 million shares, with 72.4 million shares on a fully diluted basis, excluding the impact of convertible debt. And with that, I'll turn the call back over to Mark.
Thank you, Toby. Revance is building a powerful aesthetics franchise and has now demonstrated through our positive ASPEN-1 cervical dystonia results the company's potential to create a similarly strong franchise in therapeutics. Importantly, we are entering established markets worth a combined $6 billion worldwide, armed with the next generation of products and services. With that, I will now open the call up for questions. Operator?
At this time, in order to ask a question, press star, then the number 1 on your telephone key.
The review, are you kind of engaged in a label at this point? So any color you could provide there would be great. And then second question, as we think about eventual approval and launch, there's been some recent launches in the toxin space that have gone a little bit less than stellar. So I wonder if you could talk about lessons learned and how you might stage this launch in terms of getting experience and then broadening, if there's any kind of expectations you can set for us once we, knock on wood, get an approval. Thank you.